The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program host and do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions held by TCN TV Network Incorporated. Due to the social nature of this broadcasting channel, videos may contain content copyrighted by another entity or person. The TCN TV Network claims no rights to the said content. TCN TV Network cannot be held accountable for the copyrighted content. TCN TV Network is a messenger and sharer of information and strives to verify but cannot warrant the accuracy of copyrights or completeness of the information on this program.
Good evening and welcome to On Point, your #1 political and current affairs talk show program, which is broadcasting to you live from here in the beautiful city of Brampton. Once again, we are just about 69 days onto the next general election, and we have been doing a series just giving you some information about the Canada's upcoming 43rd general election scheduled to take place on October 21st. And we're going to continue our conversation this evening, just talking about the election. What are the things for you to consider as we prepare to go into the election? We have with us this evening our panelists, our expert panel team of Tina Larson. Tina, welcome. Good to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for taking me back.
All right, sure. And we have Len Carby, who is also with us. Len, welcome.
Thank you. Good to be back again.
All right. So, there are some things that we want to look at in this election coming up. We're going to take a look very shortly at some of the seats here in Brampton, since we are broadcasting from the city of Brampton. We're going to take a look at the Brampton South riding. We invited all candidates to be with us, so we'll have a talk very shortly with the candidates who are here. Brampton South, as you'll see, is the map is there on your screen. We have 5 electoral seats available in Brampton. And Brampton going to play a very good role in this election, Lentina. You need to win seats in Brampton if you want to form government for sure.
Absolutely.
But some things to look forward to. We have a debate, a political leaders debate coming up on October the 7th. The first is the English language debate, and then on October 10th, we also have the French language debate. Len Carby, how important are these debates, leaders debates, when it comes into a general election? I mean, is it something that is necessary, we need, or?
Personally, I look forward to them, actually. As a kind of political buff, I even watch the one south of the border. That generates a lot more interest, right? But I think it gives Canadians an opportunity to hear the platforms on which these leaders are running on. Many individuals, like I said on previous programs, are very involved in their day-to-day lives and not paying too much attention to elections long prior to the events. But as they get closer to election date, I think those debates are useful opportunities for candidates to be able to talk about what the issues that are important to them and they want to champion during the election.
Awesome. Tina, October 21st is the election. Our first debate is October 7th. Your views on political leaders debates, I mean, are they still a necessary part of what we have to do?
Absolutely. I think it's so important because they get to showcase who they are. There's lots of I think the younger Democrats in all of Canada, like the people here, have not really necessarily associated themselves with a party yet. So this gives them a chance to get to know what each party stands for, what the leaders are going to represent, and what they want to showcase out there, and where they're coming from. And I think that's very important for young kids these days, or young kids, the younger generation. Because I really don't think, like Len said, a lot of parents don't talk about politics at home because they're very busy family lives.
That's true. So before we get into it, we often hear of the 3 main or the 4 main political parties. We normally hear of the Conservative Party of Canada, the Liberal Party of Canada, the NDP of Canada, and we normally think that these are the parties. But Tina, are there other political parties who are vying to form government in this election come October?
Yeah, we have almost 15 or just 15 plus parties.
15?
Yeah, there's a lot of them, and you can get that information from Elections Canada, first of all. Some of the parties here is we have Alliance of the North, we have the Animal Protection Party of Canada, we have a Bloc Québécois, of course, Christian Heritage Party, the Communist Party, of course our PC party, The Green Party, which is also a growing party these days. We're hearing a lot more from the Green Party, the Liberal Party as usual, and then we have we have one that I was surprised about, the Marijuana Party.
The Marijuana Party.
It's, I'm not sure. I would love to hear their debate.
Yes.
And we have, the National Citizen of Alliance of Canada, and the People's Party, which is an up and coming party too, that I'm hearing a lot of rumble about. So it's going to be an interesting year.
So then with 15 parties basically registered, and I think there are some more who are eligible to run as well to form government. Who are the serious contenders? I mean, people want to know what there are 15 of them, but who are the serious? Who should we take more seriously in terms of political parties going to form government in this country?
Well, I mean, there are some of the parties which I consider them single issue parties, like the Marijuana Party, right? And I think our needs as a country are a little bit more complex than a single issue. But of course, we have our incumbent current party, the Liberals, who are leading in the polls, albeit with a very strong challenge from the Conservative.
Leading positions now?
Yes, I think they earlier on in the year, after some internal challenges, kind of fell behind. But I think they're kind of recouping a little bit in the polls, and the last couple of polls I've seen indicate that they have surged just a little bit ahead. The Conservatives, however, have done a fairly decent job in terms of fundraising. And in terms of head-to-head comparison between the Conservatives and the Liberals, from a fundraising standpoint, maybe the Conservatives do have a slight edge in that area, and have been able to get a broader base of donors also. So it's going to be an interesting race between the two main parties. Of course, here's the NDP. Jagmeet has initially captured a lot of attention when he was named the leader of the NDP, however, has kind of fallen out of the news a little bit. So he has an opportunity heading into the election to focus on the issues which are important to Canadians and try to, captivate, the attention of Canadians again. The Green Party, environmental issues are constantly on the rise, and we can see, based on that environmental consciousness, a need why the Green Party is also gaining in the polls a little bit.
Okay, Tina, any other party captures your attention there? That
I
we
would
need to focus on?
really, probably not so much this election, but I would keep an eye on Bloc Québécois. The Bloc, something has started rumbling again. I'm not sure what's happening. I am reading up on it, I am following it, so that's not true. It's not that I don't know, but it is back out there.
Okay.
And then this People's Party, I would love to have one of them come and talk a little bit. I don't know what it's about, and that's the Green Party, of course. I think the environmental issues are going to get stronger and stronger as we go. Maybe this year this election is not going to be the Green Party's big win, but I think over the years come the future elections, I think Green Party is going to be very serious contester, because I think all the parties need to think about the environment.
We want to get back to this shortly, but for the leaders' debate, Len Carby, basically 5 parties have been invited to participate in the leaders' debate. The Bloc Québécois, the Conservatives, the Liberals, the NDP, and the Greens have been invited to participate in the leaders' debate. They set a few criteria. I want to get your feedback as to how fair these criteria are to determine which parties were selected from among the 15 or more, as Tina had said us earlier. But we might have to do it after the break. One, they say that to participate in the leaders' debate, you must have a representative in the House as an MP who was elected as a member of your party. So that's one, you have to be elected as a member of your party. Two, you must have the intention to have candidates in at least 90% of the ridings across the country, and you should also have about at least 4% support in the last election, or having 4% of the current polls in terms of your support. So these are some of the things that they have outlined to be able for your leader to participate in the leaders' debate. After the break, we'll talk about the fairness of that. We'll also be turning our attention to Brampton South, because we have with us coming up after the break one of the candidates who wants to be the next member of parliament in Brampton South, Miss Mandeep Kaur. We'll ask her to join us after the break. So stay tuned. This is On Point, and we're coming back to talk about the issues as we head into the 43rd general election on October 21st. Stay with us.
At Benjamin Law, we understand the real cost of personal injuries. As the victim of an accident, you may be the one who's physically hurt, but your main concern is that your family are the ones who will pay the price. Benjamin Law will be there for you, helping, supporting, and working tirelessly to resolve your personal injury case. Call 1-855-899-4878 or visit benjaminlaw.ca and let our family of lawyers help your family.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. May your dreams all come true. Happy birthday to you.
We refuse to promote, report on anything negative in the community.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
Welcome back to On Points, your number one political and current affairs program, broadcasting to you live from the beautiful city here in Brampton. And we have joined us this evening the Miss Mandeep Kaur, who wants to be the next member of Parliament for Brampton South. Mandeep, welcome to the program. Good to have you.
Thank you so much, Jermaine. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Awesome. And she is the NDP candidate who is running in Brampton South. Mandeep, tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us a little bit about your background. What did you do before deciding to run into politics? A little bit about your background.
Yes, Mandeep Kaur. I'm running in Brampton South from NDP. I'm a proud working mother. I have 3 children. 3 children. And I worked for Royal Bank for 10 years in Brampton, and particularly in Brampton South.
Okay.
And I have been part of many community events, charitable organizations. So I have been in part of Brampton South for a very long time.
Okay, awesome,
Yes.
awesome. All right, so in terms of, your jumping into politics, what are some of the issues that, you see in Brampton South that we can expect, should a Mandeep become the member of Parliament in Brampton South? What are some of the issues that you're hoping to tackle, to deal with as member of Parliament?
It's a very good question. We all know that Brampton has been neglected for a very long time, very long time. We've seen conservatives, traditional parties, conservatives, liberals, nothing's been done in Brampton. And whichever candidate was chosen, sent to the House of Commons, they never really spoke. They never raised the real concerns that Bramptonians had in the House of Commons. And that's what I have heard from my door-knocking experience, from my meetings with people. And like I said, I worked in a bank for 10 years. And I have met so many people, young families, senior citizens, and we used to have very good conversations. And like a banker, I would ask about their investments, financial history, everything. And I was a mortgage specialist, so how they can afford a home, what they need to do to qualify to buy a home in beautiful city of Brampton. And and so many times it broke my heart to tell them, I'm sorry, you do not qualify. And these are our future generations, our young people, graduates from university, just got a job, doing very well, thriving in Brampton, and they are forced to leave a beautiful community where they grew up. They're forced to make choices to leave Brampton, go outside, out of Brampton, and buy a small home, a startup home.
Okay.
And this is also a very big concern that I have seen in my career. And I've also seen healthcare crisis in Brampton. We have 600,000 people in Brampton and one full functioning hospital.
Yes.
And I'm surprised and I'm shocked, and it breaks my heart that nobody raised that concern in House of Commons. We had federal Liberal majority government, 5 Liberal MPs from Brampton, and we still have, we were the least I think we got the least funding in terms of healthcare. And we also had provincial Liberal government before our Conservative government took over, and we saw even more cuts in healthcare and education, and nothing, I think federal Liberals, they did not come in to help people of Brampton. So I have seen all those issues. And I have seen with the healthcare, I've seen it firsthand. My mom has dementia. And I have seen that crisis in my own home.
Okay.
How she suffered lack of therapies. And we have an aging population. And I think if we don't cover these things, we are going to have real serious concerns in Brampton and all over Canada.
Okay. So you mentioned a few things there, Mandeep. I just want to follow up a little bit with you. Housing, for example, is one of the things you mentioned. You have in your riding Sheridan College that brings in a lot of international students. The college itself sometimes not able to provide adequate housing for all these kids. Secondary units, basement apartments are also a big issue in Brampton South with the university surrounding. Any ideas or any plans as how you'll help to deal with some of these affordable housing issues for residents in and around your area?
I hear that from door knocking experience. I hear those concerns. And there are serious flaws in the immigration policy that I see. They should have done maybe a survey. They should have known how many people they're bringing into this riding, how many international students are coming. We support newcomers. I was an immigrant. And I belong to an immigrant family. I think we all have some ties. We cannot say immigration is we welcome people in Canada, and that's who Canadians are. We are very welcoming people, and that creates new jobs, that increases our, it makes our economy better. So I think where the problem is how many people are coming in. Will they get adequate housing? Will they have those resources available to them? And I don't think they're providing any education and guidance to these young newcomers to Canada as part of a special program, maybe, that they can advise them how their life is going to change, because they're coming from a very different cultural background. To even advise them and provide them guidance and how many hours they can work, what the job scenario is, how many jobs do we have available, and even the housing is a big issue. So these people do not come prepared. They do not know where they're very excited for their future. I think we were all.
So you want to
and
see
we did well,
support.
so I think they need a better support system.
Okay. I want to jump with you as well as on healthcare. We hear this a lot. Healthcare primarily being a provincial issue. You are running for a federal position. Are you therefore saying that you would want to help champion this issue, even though it's kind of above the provincial level? And what are some of the solutions that you're looking forward to, that you would look forward to bringing as it relates to healthcare?
We are committing to people of Brampton that we will bring a second hospital in Brampton, which is very much required. Brampton is the first city, I think, that we have a hospital that we actually created a new term. It's called hallway medicine. I don't know what to talk about that. People have beds in hallways. Is that the future we are heading towards? We have real problems. We're real people. We need real solutions. We cannot say, we'll look into it in 5 years. Get us elected and we'll see. No, people want commitment. So this is what we are going to work towards. And like I said, I have seen the healthcare crisis in my own home. We were forced to put my mom in long-term care because we didn't get that much help coming to our home. So we were like, okay, avoiding fall or anything, we will put her in a long-term care center. And my mom had a bad fall. They did not notify us. We never got the call. And 3 days later, when I went to see her, her whole hand and fingers were black and purple. And that's 3 days later. And I asked the nurse, and I said, what happened? Oh, she had a fall, but she's okay. How do you know she's okay? She cannot communicate. She's last stage dementia. And we called the ambulance, took her to the hospital. She had a bone fracture.
Wow.
And a person that cannot talk, cannot communicate, had to survive through that pain for 3 days. And I want to ask our current Liberal MPs, and particularly in Brampton South, don't they meet senior citizens here? Don't they talk to people that have aging parents? Is that what we are going to give them? Is that what we are heading towards? Because we will be seniors one day as well.
Yeah. We're running down to the last few minutes of our conversation here, Mandeep. From the NDP, who wants to be the next member of Parliament for Brampton South. You have 3 other contenders down there, 2 other contenders, Ms. Sonia, Sidhu, who we invited as well, not here today, Mr. Mandeep, Brar as well, running for the Conservatives, Sonia running for the Liberals. We look at the results last time around. Sonia Sidhu was able to take out over 23,000 votes. Carl Seaback ran for the Conservatives at about 15,000 votes. The NDP came in with about 4,000 votes. It's a tall order for you down there to overcome these numbers. What's your strategy? What's your plan? How will you overcome this large gap in the numbers down there?
This is such a good question. We have an amazing team. We have beautiful, amazing platform. We are connecting with people. We're connecting with real people. And this is where I come from. We have to ask ourselves, what we are going to bring to the people of Brampton as a member of Parliament. When I'm elected, what do I have to do first thing? So I go door knocking and I ask people, and they are very dissatisfied in the current Liberal government, current Liberal MP, and when we talk about Conservatives, I don't have to say much. We've seen the cuts in Brampton all over Ontario.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have to leave it there. We're out of time for this segment. Mandeep, thank you so very much for coming in and talking to us. Brampton West, Brampton South rather. Your NDP candidate, Mandeep Kaur, who wants to be the next member of Parliament to represent you. Where can they find you before we go? Where can they find you? Social media?
Social media, mandeepkaur.ndp.ca. We are on Twitter, we are on Instagram, we're on Facebook. And in the end, I would like to say, with love and courage, we can build better Canada and better Brampton South.
Okay, thank you, Mandeep.
Thank
We'll be right back after the break
much.
to talk more
Thank
politics.
you.
This is On Point.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
With so many newspapers within the community, it's sometimes hard to tell what separates us from the rest. Most of the time, they all brag about the same thing. The large circulations, tons of online views, and it can go on and on. But what really separates the Toronto Caribbean newspaper apart from everybody else? Well, it's simple. Our service. No, seriously. Hi, I'm Grant Browning, founder and CEO of the Toronto Caribbean newspaper. I have over 20 years of branding and marketing experience, and I've worked with countless companies and corporations to do one thing, and that is to raise their profits with their brand. With over 40 years of combined experience in branding and marketing, our amazing staff is fully prepared to sit down and figure out exactly what you need to stand out from your competitors.
The reason why you don't see that anymore is because
the ad is too powerful, bring too much people.
So what are you waiting for? Give us a call today. We'll be happy to help.
At Benjamin Law, we understand the real cost of personal injuries. As the victim of an accident, you may be the one who's physically hurt, but your main concern is that your family are the ones who will pay the price. Benjamin Law will be there for you, helping, supporting, and working tirelessly to resolve your personal injury case. Call 1-855-899-4878 or visit benjaminlaw.ca and let our family of lawyers help your family.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. May your dreams all come true. Happy birthday to you.
We refuse to promote, report on anything negative in the community.
And
Welcome back to On Point, your political and current affairs talk show program. We're preparing for the 43rd general election taking place on October 21st. And we just had a wonderful conversation with Ms. Mandeep Kaur, who is the NDP candidate in Brampton South here in the beautiful city. Tina, we'll start off with your reaction to what Mandeep has to say. She wants to take out, or she wants to replace, let me say replace. She wants to replace Sonia Sidhu as the Liberal Member of Parliament down there in Brampton South. She has a tall order to overcome. You know, the NDP only got about 10%, 10.65% of the votes the last time around. The Liberals, on the other hand, got 52.09% of the votes. Your reaction?
Yeah, she has a very tall order, but you know, she's full of energy. I like the energy I see, and you know, she's been obviously door knocking. She understands the issues with Brampton South. It seems like she's very connected to the people. You know, some of the subject that we spoke about, you know, yeah, those are tall orders. I don't know if they're all doable, but I think I like her. She was good. She's full of energy.
Len Carby, your impression of the Brampton South NDP candidate?
well, first of all, I always start off with it's great to see good new talent coming to the table. I always talk about the necessity of a healthy turnover. And so when new individuals decide to throw their hat in the ring and to represent their riding, it's always something to be commended. So I commend her for the bold step to represent her community. She's from the community. She has worked in the community for a long time. And I think that gives her a sense as to what are some of the specific pressing needs in that community. Some of the things she talked about, she mentioned, you know, healthcare and promising a second hospital in Brampton. I've always considered that more of a provincial matter. So it will be interesting to see how that particular promise becomes something that is deliverable from a federal level. Are the NDP thinking of changing the model for funding healthcare? Is that part of the mandate that they're looking at? I'm very interested in hearing more about how she and the party plans to deliver on that promise.
And that's interesting because we had Saranjit Singh, who is the NDP candidate for Brampton East. He was on our show probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he also was making the same commitment of funding another hospital here in Brampton. So, you know, is it a new approach that we're seeing that the NDP wants to have a stronger working relationship with the province to kind of deliver on these issues, or are we having campaign talks here, Tina?
You know what, I'm thinking that they're probably going to try and work really hard with the province on it. I think that the community might not necessarily be ready this term for a second hospital. I'm not sure. Just so everybody remembers that with the hospital, the province and the federal built the outside, but the inside is funded by the community. So that means that we're asking Brampton to fund a second hospital, and our current hospital is definitely in much need of upgraded equipment because, you know, it's getting old and technology is advancing at a rapid pace. So we already have to figure out how we're going to fund the Brampton Civic right now for all replacement of what's there because it's getting old. It's over 10 years.
Yes, it's been here.
It's over, yeah. So I mean, that hospital needs to be funded first, and then by the community, and then we're asking the community. Well, the NDP is asking the community to come and fundraise, really to fundraise for this second hospital, and that will be an interesting task. I have a little experience with that, sitting on the foundation. It's difficult, you know, they just finished coming out of a huge, well, almost coming out of a huge campaign. It will be an interesting commitment from the NDP and see how they change that. If they do change the format, then very interesting to see.
I think it resonates with people though. And if you're in Brampton, you're tired of the hallway medicine, you're tired of your family being treated in hallways, having a second hospital, similar to too high of car motor vehicle insurance, is an issue that identifies with folks if you're living in Brampton.
Absolutely. I think Brampton is certainly underserved. You know, the single hospital is just not enough to meet the needs of a very fast-growing population. So I think the need is absolutely there, and I think what they are demonstrating is that they're hearing from people at the doorstep the things which are meaningful to them. Whether or not it becomes a federal issue or a provincial issue is a different question.
Okay.
And so as a candidate, if you're going to focus on an issue that is typically provincial, I would love to hear the strategy. How are you going to make that promise? How are you going to deliver on that promise?
But do the regular voter out there, does the regular voter out there understand the difference between what's a provincial issue and what's a federal issue, or do they really care?
I think most individuals speak about the things, the pain points that they have. And so they're going to simply talk about what is meaningful to them. And whichever politician comes to the door, I remember several years ago, walking the door, doing a little bit of my own municipal campaigning, and many of the issues that were coming up were ones that at the municipal level we can't do anything about, really. But what it does demonstrate is a need for all levels of government to work together, because at the end of the day, people have specific needs and they're going to speak about those needs, and it's incumbent on all the politicians, whichever level of you're representing, to ensure that you're collaborating well to meet the needs of your community. And so that's why I have a keen interest in how are they going to collaborate at the provincial level to ensure that that promise, because that's a very bold promise, how will that be delivered?
They have a challenge down there in Brampton South, as I asked her about, the fact that Sheridan College is down there. They take in a lot of international students, most time with no provision for housing or know where they should go. She talked about the need for sensible immigration rules, and to kind of look at that to make sure that people who are coming in are properly informed as to their responsibilities, the amount of time that they are allowed to work, and most of the time they have to be in school. Your thoughts on the immigration piece that she had to talk about, Tina?
Yeah, first of all, I was surprised, but it is a Brampton South issue. And because of Sheridan, we have a lot of international students. I love that we have the international students coming to Brampton. That's awesome, but it is mismanaged. And it could be a great opportunity for Brampton but I don't know if it's a federal issue or if it's actually even down to a municipal issue, because it would be a great opportunity for Brampton to take on this kind of housing, and for the developers in Brampton to have the opportunity to, do so. And I think this is more City of Brampton kind of developers kind of shake hand and come with something good. Yeah.
Yes.
Len?
Yes. It's an interesting topic for her to raise on the question of immigration, which is a federal issue, but I think it parlayed into kind of a local thing when you mentioned housing, right? So I do think there's need for some collaboration, because yes, we are immigration friendly. I'm an immigrant, and I'm proud to say that. Yeah. And I've found a home here in Canada, and I'm a proud Canadian also.
Yes.
And so we know that Canadian is immigrant friendly, and we have an opportunity to resettle and find new opportunities here. So I'm not sure if the critique is that we're taking too many immigrants, or we are not finding enough, we're not providing enough infrastructure and support for that, to support it. And so I want to hear a little bit more from the NDP to frame out what that critique was. Okay. Was it just a federal issue, or is it a critique of what's happening locally in how immigrants are settling and not finding affordable housing? So I need to hear more from the NDP on what that critique of the immigration plan is. And hear their plan.
Well, fair enough. Let's look at some numbers here. In 2011, the Conservative won that riding with 16,147 votes. The Liberals came in with 12,585 votes. The NDP 5,800 votes. Fast forward 4 years, in 2015, the Liberals were on top with 23,000 votes. The Conservatives roughly about kept their own there at about another 15,000 votes, and the NDP moved from 5,000 to 4,800 votes. There's a lot of work cut out down there for the NDP. I mean, as a candidate, you look at these numbers, what do you do to try to turn it around?
You're making us into campaign strategists now.
Yeah, we have a minute to go.
Yes.
What do you do with these numbers?
I would say that it's not impossible, because the Liberals jumped from, what was their?
The Liberals jumped from 12,000 to 23,000.
That's a huge
11,000?
jump. So if she can do that jump, so can this one. So It's not impossible for any party to make that jump. And obviously our population, and here's what people forget, 4 years is a long time in Brampton. Our population is growing at a rapid rate. So when you see that new population grow so fast, it's so much not easier, but it shows how many more voters you get.
Yeah, but it was last minute to go, Len. We had, in 2011, there was 107,000 people in Brampton South. Today there's 121,000. Yeah. Has the population grown enough for her to pick up the votes needed to take a victory here?
I don't know that the numbers will swing that vast in just that riding. But I remember only maybe one or so campaigns ago when the Liberal Party was wiped out federally.
Yeah. Yes.
So issues change, but leadership does matter. So coming into the game, there's always the opportunity. I never write off any candidate, depending on how well they're able to resonate on the doorstep.
This is going to be a campaign based on your party, not necessarily a knocking door campaign, picking up new votes. It's going to be a party campaign.
Yeah. All right, this is On Point. Stay with us. We go for a commercial break, and we'll be right back talking about the 43rd general election. Stay with us.
My name is Trish Curling, and I am an online coach, personal trainer, and yoga teacher, and your new host of Shaping Life, which is all about understanding that we have the ability and the control to take charge of our health and wellness. But we can't do it alone, and I can't wait to sit down with the best in the industry. Please tune in every Friday at 1 p.m. live here on the TCN Network.
At Benjamin Law, we understand the real cost of personal injuries. As the victim of an accident, you may be the one who's physically hurt, but your main concern is that your family are the ones who will pay the price. Benjamin Law will be there for you, helping, supporting, and working tirelessly to resolve your personal injury case. Call 1-855-899-4878 or visit benjaminlaw.ca and let our family of lawyers help your family.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
Welcome back to On Points, your number one political current affairs and talk show program. We continue to take our look at the 43rd general election. We had a great conversation earlier with our NDP candidate from Brampton South, Ms. Mandeep Kaur. Check out her website, check out her platform. The others were also invited. We invited the Liberal and the Conservative candidates. However, they were not available to appear on our program this evening. We want to look at some more of the issues that people are concerned about, and some of the issues that will help to determine what the outcome of this election will be, whether the Liberals will be returned or the Conservatives will take over or the NDP will form government, or any of the other 15 that we learned about this evening from Tina, who are registered and are running to be a political party. Maybe the marijuana party could eke out a surprise victory this time around, then.
Cannabis is a major issue.
A major issue, the Liberals did run on making cannabis legal. They delivered on their commitment. Is that something that voters will reward them for?
Well, the question is, have they taken away the platform of the marijuana party? Because if that was your single issue, the Liberals have delivered on that promise, then what is the issue now for the marijuana party, right? That they will run. And I'm very curious to hear.
To hear that.
Yes, I will delve into that a little bit more.
One more. Okay, good. We have seen gun violence kind of popping up across the country. We had the Prime Minister who was in in Toronto today, meeting with John Tory, who is the current mayor of Toronto. The Prime Minister is trying to appear as the person who will have a handle on the crime and bring back safety to the Canadian society. Not just in Toronto, in Peel, for example, we had a record year when it comes to violence last year. And in Calgary this year, out in Alberta, in this year, Calgary is on track to have the highest amount of gun shootings in the city's history. What does this tell us? Is gun violence going to be a big consideration in this election, Len, as to Tina, let's start with you, as to who can keep Canadians safe? Is that something that Canadians are concerned about?
I think so. I think that it is going to be a big conversation. I mean, Brampton went through one rough year last year. I don't know what the stats are for this year, so I'm not going to speak on this year. I think that I was listening to another radio station. They had a big debate on it. I think that we have to look at so many ways of prevention and, helping out and working on it. It's going to be a big debate, and it's a big conversation right now.
Yeah.
Len, how concerned should Canadians be as it relates to gun violence, and can we make the connection to the polls, the voting, as to who is going to keep us safe?
Well, let's be clear. Any growing city is going to deal with the issue of crime and violence. That is not unique to Canada. It's not unique to Toronto. It's not unique to Brampton. Any growing city, that's part of the inherent challenge that has to be addressed. So I think it's commendable that financial resources are being allocated to address the problem. And I think it is going to be an important conversation on the doorsteps and important conversation during the debates, because mass populations live in big cities that are affected by these things, right? And people are going to talk about the issues which are important to them. What I want to hear, however, is not just money being thrown at the problem, but what exactly is the strategy to address crime and violence? Is it just, okay, so 4.5 million. In December last year, I think there was a $7 million announcement also. So resources are being allocated, but what I fail to see is what is the strategy. And there is debate whether around harsher sentences, whether it's around bail. All of those issues are still being debated. I know the Liberals, for example, are backing away from the issue of handgun complete ban, right? So what is the issue around a handgun and banning that? What is the strategy that's going to come with those dollars? Because just throwing money at it during an election campaign is not going to answer the problem. And what I think is that the social infrastructure that supports larger cities as they grow is where the attention needs to be paid. And that becomes something for our provincial partners to be involved in. And so with all of these cuts which are happening, what I know is that for every dollar not spent today in social services costs you $7 down the road. So all of these cuts, what you're going to see are those problems.
I want to follow up a little bit more on it though, Len. You mentioned, for example, talks about a handgun ban. For example, John Tory, Mayor of Toronto, has been asking for a handgun ban for a very long time. Isn't it time that we have a handgun ban to kind of deal with some of the crime situation, the violence in our cities?
Yes. Well, that again is a specific strategy that he's advocating. I don't know the numbers specifically around or the evidence to show that a ban of handgun is going to result in less crime. I haven't seen numbers to support that. It seems very anecdotal just to say it, right? So hence the Liberal federal government has backed off from a hard stand on that. But again, where is the coherent strategy? Is that going to be the answer? I don't necessarily buy that. That is the strategy. I'm waiting to see what that strategy is.
The Conservatives have said that they will be tough on crime. That's their approach. That they will be tough on crime. They're going to tighten up the bail system and make sure people get locked away. Is that what we need to kind of deal with the crime issue?
There's a few points that I think that we really need to address and look at. For one, bail. There's nothing more that's worse than mom getting a phone call saying your son is up for bail because he was part of a shooting, he was part of the people. So my heart goes out to those moms, because it's not how you expect your child to be. But the problem is you can go and bail them out the next day, and that doesn't solve the issue, because society today in those groups don't have any solutions with these kids. And I think banning handguns and guns is not the solution, okay? Because it takes people to shoot the guns. It's not the guns that are killing people. So, but what we need to look at is, yes, right now we need to look at the system, but we need to prevent the future of it happening. And how do you prevent it? By giving them access to things to do after school. Most of them are teenagers and young adults. Why are they out on the streets? Why do they want to go to the gangs? There's many groups out there that have some great answers. I was listening to them all week. I totally agree that we are not providing them with the services that we should be providing them with. The kids come from, not exactly the best off communities, but that doesn't mean we can't provide them, especially a country like Canada itself, cannot provide these communities with the right resources to keep their kids out of trouble and helping. It's really tough on a mom, being a single mom, raising all these kids, working 2 jobs, and then also making sure that her son doesn't, or daughter, does not fall into the wrong track in life. And even for moms that are stay-at-home moms, it's hard to keep track of your kids. So I can just imagine moms working 2 jobs, trying to provide for everybody, and then having to be there. So we really have to change that.
Okay. Then tough on crime, or one approach, as Justin Trudeau seems to be saying, is a holistic approach. Improved housing, improved education, improved infrastructure. But they have been trying that. It doesn't seem to be working, and not just in Toronto, it's in Brampton. But when you saw the news this morning, it's across the country with Calgary having records. So is this improved housing, education, infrastructure approach working, or do we to continue that some more? Or do we get tough on crime?
I think ultimately the long-term approach will always have to be providing more services and supports for communities to grow healthy. I think that is any attempt to address just the crime issue or being tough on crime is trying to put a Band-Aid over a major sore. So for me, it's healing our community. It is investing in our community. It's creating the social infrastructure that allows for healthy communities. I don't think these individuals who are involved are born to be criminals. No. They aren't born that way. Their environment, they're products of the environment. So if we can change the environment in which that is producing this crime and violence, then I think that's ultimately the best long-term strategy. So I like that long-term view towards addressing crime and violence.
Do you want to take a look as we're in our final minute here, which one of these leaders, of all the leaders of the political parties, are really connecting with voters about keeping them safe, getting crime under control? Any of these leaders really connecting in that way to say we want to keep you safe?
I think all are addressing it because it's an issue that they are facing on the doorstep. So they are all speaking in different ways about it. I particularly commend the approach that I see in terms of the partnership at a city level and a federal level in the announcement today. I think that says at least 2 levels of government.
The province was there too. The province gave them 1.5 million.
Yes, out of the 4.5.
So it was one of the times when you see all 3 levels kind of come together.
Yes.
Absolutely. They were all there.
Okay. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that has been our presentation for this evening. On Point, your #1 current affairs and political talk show program. Join us next Tuesday at 4 p.m. when we shall take a look at some of the other issues that you should be considering as we prepare for the 43rd general election. Until then, stay tuned. We look forward to talking to you again next week. Thank you, Len Carby, Tina Larson for joining us, and also for Mandeep Kaur, your NDP candidate, for coming on. This has been On Point.